Hello students, in the last class we were discussing about some of the important different types of atomic properties like covalent radius, van der Waals radius, atomic radius, metallic radius, and we have also seen the comparison between the covalent radius, van der Waals radius as well as metallic radius also, and along with that we have studied the definition of ionic radius as well as ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy. So regarding to that, we have also seen the periodicity, that the trends which changes in the periodicity in case of ionization enthalpy, which means how the value of ionization enthalpy changes when we go from left to right in the periodic table. That is generally called as in terms of periods, or whenever we come from top to bottom in the periodic table, that is regarding with the in case of groups, how the value goes on changes, that also we have seen. Similarly, the electron gain enthalpy is nothing but whenever the molar enthalpy changes, so change when an isolated gaseous atom or an ion, so in a ground state adds an electron to form a corresponding ion, that is generally called as electron gain enthalpy. And we have seen whenever one electron is added, we will call it as first ionization or first electron gain enthalpy. And if you add to second electron, it will convert into x2 minus. It is generally converted as second electron gain enthalpy. Like that, if you go on adding the electron, then it is converted into third electron gain enthalpy, fourth electron gain enthalpy, like this, right? And also we have seen the periodicity generally in terms of periods. So which means when you go from left to right, the electron gain enthalpy increases. And in case of groups, from the top to bottom in the periodic table, the electron gain enthalpy goes on decreases, right? So that's all we have studied in the previous classes, and in today's class we'll go with the same extended part of this chapter, that is definition as well as trends in the periodic table. So in that the next one is electronegativity, right? So according to definition of electronegativity, the relative tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself is termed as electronegativity. For example, if I take any element, say example A, so this element A, right? So if I consider element A, so and there is another element B, so it has the ability to extract the electron from this. It has the ability to extract the electron from this B, right? So that is shared pair of electron. For example, there are two electrons here. So to extract this electron towards itself, so this is generally called as electronegativity, right? So it is defined as the relative tendency of an atom in a molecule. If you consider a molecule, so which is having the greater electronegativity, it generally attracts the shared pair of electron towards itself. For example, if I take A and B, right? So if there is two electron, so there is a bond formation, and if B has capability to extract this electron, right? So if B has a capacity to extract both the electrons, then this is called as the electronegativity, right? So therefore the relative tendency, or it is nothing but the power of an atom to extract or to attract the shared pair of electron. This word is very important, right? So to extract the shared pair of electron towards itself is termed as electronegativity. And in periodic table, so electronegativity increases from left to right, right? So whenever you go from left to right in the periodic table, so in this way, whenever you go from left to right in the periodic table, so the electronegativity goes on increases, and when you come from top to bottom, the electronegativity decreases, which means in groups, so the value decreases, and in case of the periods, that is whenever you move from left to right in the periodic table, the electronegativity goes on increases, right? So that is also one of the important definition in case of atomic properties of an atom, right? And next one is valence electrons. The electrons present in the outermost shell or in the last orbit, they are generally called as valence electrons, right? So the electrons which are present in the last orbit, if I consider an atom, right? So if I consider atom, this is the nucleus and it is surrounded by different orbit, right? So whatever the amount of or the number of electrons which are present in this last orbit, so these are called as valence electrons. The electrons which are present in the last orbit are generally called as valence electron. Remember the definition: the electrons present in the outermost shell, right? So generally that orbit is generally called as shells. So this outermost shell, which consists of some number of electrons based on the type of element which is present, right? So therefore that electrons are generally termed as a valence electron, right? So because these electrons in the outermost shell determines the valency of an element, which means we cannot remove all the electrons which are present in the inner side, which means which is nearer to the nucleus, we can remove the electrons which are present in the last orbit, right? We can remove the electrons which are present in the last orbit. Therefore, what happens here? So in case of the electrons in the outermost shell, generally they determines or they explains the valency of an element, right? For example, sodium can be converted into +1, which means you can remove 1 electron from that. Copper can be converted into copper +2, which means you can remove 2 electron, right? Similarly, copper can also be converted into copper +3, which means you can remove 3 electrons, right? So from its valence shell. So therefore that gives the overall information, or that determines the valency of the element. So therefore, if you consider any of the element, we can explain or we can determine the valency of that element only by understanding the how many number of electrons are present in their last orbit. That last orbit is generally called as valence orbit. So therefore, how many electrons present in that valence shell are considered as the valence electron, right? Simply you can call it as the electrons which are present in the last orbit is generally called as valence electron, right? Further, if you go for the valency of an element, the number of electron in which an atom loses or gains or shares with other atom to attain the noble gas configuration is termed as its valency, right? So if you consider the valency or define valency, means it is the number of electron which an atom loses or gains or shares with the other atom to attain the noble gas configuration. Why it attains the noble gas configuration? So noble gas configuration is nothing but the stable nature, which means every molecule in the universe, or in case of chemistry, so the main aim of every molecule or every element or every substance is to attain the stability. How it attains the stability? It is only by getting the noble gas configuration. To get this noble gas configuration, so it must donate the electrons, it must accept the electron, or it must shares with the another atom, then it can be converted into a stable nature, right? So therefore valence is nothing but the number of electron in which atom loses or gains or shares with another atom. So that is generally to attain the noble gas configuration, and it is termed as its valency. And the valency first increases, then decreases from left to right in the periods. So whenever you go from left to right in the period, what happens? The valency first increases. The valency goes on increases, which means the number of replaceable ions, replaceable electrons, or number of electrons which are added to the molecule, that atom, so that increases initially, but after it goes on decreases in the periodic table as we go from left to right in the periodic table, generally in terms of periods. And the valency remains constant, from top to bottom in group. Whenever you go from top to bottom in groups, the valency remains constant. So therefore, valency of an element, the number of electrons which an atom loses or gains or shares with another atom to attain the noble gas configuration, is termed as valency. For example, if I take A is an element, right? So initially it is not stable, so it can get stable or it can be stabilized. One is by giving the electron. Remember the concept, this is very important. One is by giving the electron or by accepting the electron, right? So one is by giving the electron or by accepting the electron or by sharing the electron. Or by sharing the electron. These are the three important cases, right? So the any atom in case of elements can be stabilized, so it will attain the stable, right? So that is stability. So which means it attains the noble gas electronic configuration, right? So whenever it attains the noble gas electronic configuration, so it will be stable. To attain this stability, it has a three chances. First chance is to give the electron, second chance is accept the electron, or third chance is to share the electron, right? So these are the three important ways to attain the stability for the atom. So therefore, so how many numbers of electrons are given, or how many number of electrons are accepted, or how many number of these electrons are shared, that is generally called as valency. Right? So this is very important. This is a very much basic in case of chemistry, and even in case of bonding. Further you will study about the chemical bonding chapter. In that chapter this is very important, valency. The complete information is based on the valency. Always remember, during bond formation, so the atom, any atom, so it will attain stability. So therefore this A has capacity for giving the electron, or this atom A has capacity to accept the electron, or atom A can share the electron. So to attain the stability, that is stable electronic configuration, that is generally called as noble gas electronic configuration. And that value, that total number of electron, how much electrons it has given, or how much electron it has accepted, or how much electrons it has shared, so that is generally called as valency of that atom or valency of that element, right? So therefore this valency goes on increases, and further it goes on decreases. Initially the value increases, but after that it goes on decreases when you go from left to right in the periodic table. Which means when you go from left to right in the periodic table, the valency initially goes on increases and further goes on decreases. And similarly, when you come from top to bottom, in case of groups, the valency remains constant, which means the number of electrons removed, that the first element and the last element both are having the same, which means they are grouped under the same valency, which means the elements which are present in a particular group, they are grouped on the basis of their valency, right? So first element, second element, third element, fourth element, when you come from top to bottom in the periodic table, they have the same valency, which means the electrons which are present in the last orbit will be same, right? So this is very important trend in the periodic table. Valency is nothing but it is the total number of electrons so that are given, or that are accepted, or that are shared to attain the noble gas electronic configuration. The reason for attaining the noble gas electronic configuration is to get stabilized. So therefore here what happens, whenever you look for the valency, or in case of periodicity, or in terms of trends in the periodic table, if you go from left to right, initially the valency, that is number of replaceable electrons, so those will increase, and after some time it goes on decreases. But when you come from top to bottom, which means in terms of groups, there is a constant maintenance of the valency in case of all the elements, right? So that is regarding to the valence and trends in the valence. Next one is electronegative or non-metallic character, right? So electronegative, or it is also termed as non-metallic character. Here what happens, the tendency of an element to accept the electron to form an anion. The property or the tendency of an element to accept the electron to form an anion, is called its non-metallic or electronegative character. Understand, this is very simple. So if I consider atom A, alright, so if I consider this atom A, further what happens, so it can be converted into A minus. It can be converted into A minus by adding one electron. By adding one electron, what happens, it is converted into A minus, right? So this conversion of A minus is nothing but electronegative. That is nothing but electronegative, or you can also call it as non-metallic characteristics. It is also termed as non-metallic characteristics. Therefore, the tendency of an element to accept means to gain the electrons to form an anion, to convert that into a negatively charged particle. Anion is nothing but negatively charged particle, and it is called as a non-metallic or electronegative characteristics, right? So therefore the electronegative characteristics or non-metallic characters increases from left to right in periods, right? So if you go from left to right, so the non-metallic characteristics or the electronegativity, right? So that is electronegative nature of an atom, so it goes on increases. If you go from left to right, so this value goes on increases, and if you come from top to bottom, this value decreases, right? So here you can observe the electronegative negative nature or the non-metallic nature, so that decreases when you come from top to bottom in the groups, right? So electronegative is nothing but you can convert any neutral atom into the negatively charged particle, right? So this is generally called as electronegative, right? And further, if you see, the exact opposite of electronegative is electropositive. Already we have seen we can convert the neutral molecule into negatively charged particle or anion. If you convert that into anion, you will call it as electronegative. It is called as electronegative, right? So but if you convert A into A plus, you will remove one electron, right? You will remove minus electron. You have removed one electron. Here you have added one electron. Here you will remove one electron. So then it will convert into cation, that is positive charge, and this is called as a electropositive. Always remember, to convert the neutral atom into electronegative atom, you must add one electron. Then it is converted into anion, that is negatively charged particle, that is called as electronegative. And whenever the electron is removed from atom A, it is converted into A plus. A plus is nothing but it is a formation of cation, right? So whenever there is a formation of cation, it is called as electropositive value. It is generally termed as electropositive value, or it is also called as a metallic character, right? So electronegative is called as non-metallic character, electropositive is called as metallic character. So therefore here, the tendency of an element to lose the electron, and to form the positive ion, the cation, the same thing I have explained. If you take a neutral atom A, you can convert that into cation, which means A can be converted into A plus by the removal of one electron. The same thing I have explained here, right? So you can convert A into A plus by removing one electron, right? So and it can be converted into cation, and this process is called as a electropositive nature, or it is also called as metallic character. So therefore the tendency of an element to lose the electron from the positive ion, that is cation, is called as electropositive or metallic character. So whenever you look after the trends in the periodic table, the electropositive or the metallic character goes on decreases from left to right in the periods. That is a reverse when compared to that of the electronegative value. So therefore here, so in case of periods, what happens, if you go from left to right in the periodic table, the value goes on decreases. If you come from top to bottom, the value goes on increases in the periodic table. Remember, so the electropositive is exactly opposite to that of the electronegative. In electronegative, what happens, I am explaining it twice or thrice, so because it is very important. It is a very important basic thing in case of atoms. So whenever you add the electron, so this will convert into negatively charged particle, and that is termed as anion, which means the formation of anion is nothing but it is electronegative nature, or you can call it as a non-metallic nature. That is also known as non-metallic nature. But in case of A is converted to A plus, this is called as cation. This is generally called as cation, and it is electropositive in nature. And it is termed as a metallic. Right? So it is termed as metallic. So therefore here, so in case of periodicity in electropositive or metallic characteristics of an atom is, so the electropositive or the metallic character decreases, the value goes on decreases when you go from left to right in the periodic table, that is in terms of periods. And the electropositive or metallic character increases from top to bottom whenever you come in terms of groups from top to bottom in the periodic table. So then the value goes on increases in case of groups. So here you can observe that there is an increase in value in terms of groups. After electronegative nature, that is non-metallic character, and after electropositive nature or metallic character, so next we'll go for the reactivity of the metals, how the metals will react and how the trend is present in terms of periodic table. So generally the reactivity of metals is the ease of or the ability of the element to react with the another element in the periodic table, so or the strength of the element to mix with or to mingle with another atom which is present in different elements. So that is called as reactivity of metals. So here if you observe the periodicity or the trend in the periodic table, so in periods the tendency of an atom to lose the electron decreases in period, which means in case of periods means when you go from left to right in the periodic table, so the element has capability to lose the electron, which means the capacity of losing the electron, which means to give the electron, so that value decreases in period. So the reactivity of metal decreases from left to right whenever you go from left to right in the periodic table. Here if you observe, whenever you go from left to right in the periodic table, so there will be no ease of a removal of electron. We cannot remove electron very easily. So therefore in periods the value goes on decreases. There decreases from left to right. But in case of tendency of an element to lose the electron, it increases in case of groups. Whenever you come from top to bottom in the periodic table, top to bottom in the periodic table, what happens? There is an ability to lose the electron. That is, you can remove the electron very easily. You can remove the electron very easily when you come from top to bottom in the periodic table. So therefore that value goes on increases. So the value goes on decreases in case of the movement when you move from left to right in the periodic table, that is in terms of periods. But in terms of group, what happens? So the tendency of an element to lose the electron, which means if you take any element, so if it wants to lose the electron means it will convert into cation formation. So whenever it converts into cationic formation, so generally we'll call it as a reactivity of metals. It can react, right? So therefore here what happens in this case, the value that reactivity of metals or tendency to lose the electron, that increases in case of groups. And similarly in case of reactivity of non-metals, it is opposite to that. It increases in periods. The value goes on increases in periods and value goes on decreases in case of group, right? So it is exactly opposite to the reactivity of non-metals, because metals and non-metals have the opposite characteristics. Both are having the opposite characteristics. In case of reactivity of metals, the value goes on decreases in terms of periods and value goes on increases in terms of groups. But in case of reactivity of non-metals, here if you consider, the value goes on increases in periods. The value goes on increases in periods and value goes on decreases in groups. Value goes on decreases in groups, right? So therefore, this is the important comparison between the reactivity of metals and reactivity of non-metals in the periodic table. And the last part of this chapter is solubility of alkali metals, carbonates and bicarbonates, right? So already we know what are alkali metals, that is first group elements. What are alkaline earth metals, second group elements. What are metal carbonates, which are in the form of carbonates, these are generally called as metal carbonates, and bicarbonates, right? So how the solubility of all these elements or all these substances or all these molecules takes place in the periodic table, that is the solubility. Solubility is nothing but the capacity to dissolve in terms of water molecule, that is generally called as solubility, right? So understand the word solubility. Solubility is nothing but the capacity to dissolve in case of water molecule, that is called as solubility. The solubility of alkali metals, carbonates and bicarbonates in water increases down the group from lithium to cesium, right? So here, so whenever you compare the elements from lithium to cesium, right? So down the group means if you consider this periodic table, when you come from top to bottom in the periodic table, right? So the solubility means the capacity to dissolve in case of water molecule, that is of alkali metals, that is of carbonates and that is of bicarbonates. So those atoms or those molecule, so those can easily dissolve in water molecule, and the value of their dissolving capacity, it increases from top to bottom in the periodic table whenever you go from top to bottom, which means in terms of groups. We are talking about in terms of groups. Whenever you come from lithium to cesium, that value goes on increases, which means the solubility of lithium is very less and it goes on increases, and it is maximum value for the cesium. Cesium can dissolve very easily in case of water molecule, right? So therefore, the solubility of alkali metals, carbonates and bicarbonates in water increases down the group whenever you go from lithium to cesium. And the solubility of alkaline earth metals, hydroxide and sulfates, the second group of elements, that is alkaline earth metals and hydroxide. Hydroxide means when it is already reacted with a water molecule which is having the hydroxyl group, is called as hydroxide. And whenever it reacts with the sulfates, that is sulfur dioxide, it will convert into sulfates. So these molecule, the solubility of water, solubility in water increases down the group, right? So even the solubility of alkaline earth metals and hydroxide and sulfates, right? So these also, whenever you look in terms of top to bottom in the periodic table, so that value also goes on increases, which means the first element has very less capability to dissolve or to mix with water molecule, but as the atomic number increases in terms of group from top to bottom in the periodic table, so the solubility also goes on increases. Therefore, the solubility of water, solubility in case of water increases down the group from beryllium to barium. If you look at the periodic table, the first element, that is beryllium in terms of the groups. So here from top to bottom, right, so up to barium, so the value goes on increases. That is of the solubility, that is dissolving capacity of alkaline earth metals, hydroxide as well as sulfates. And further, if you go for the basic strength of alkaline earth metals and hydroxide, so it increases down the group. It increases down the group. That is basicity or the basic strength or the basic nature of this. So alkaline earth metal, that is beryllium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, strontium hydroxide and barium hydroxide. Here if you observe, beryllium hydroxide is less basic when compared to that of the magnesium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide is less basic when compared to that of the calcium hydroxide, and it is less when compared to strontium hydroxide, and it is less when compared to that of the barium hydroxide, which means beryllium has the lowest value in case of alkaline nature, that is basic nature. In case of basic strength, beryllium hydroxide is having the lesser value and barium hydroxide is having the highest value or highest basic nature or highest basic strength in terms of alkaline earth metals. So therefore, whenever you go from left top to bottom in the periodic table, this is beryllium is the first element and barium is the last element in case of alkaline earth metal. So therefore, beryllium hydroxide is having the very less basic strength when compared to that of the barium hydroxide. So therefore, the basic strength goes on increases. Basic strength goes on increases as we come down from top to bottom in the periodic table. Top to bottom in the periodic table. And further, if you go for the anomalous properties of the second period elements. So if you look for the anomalous properties, right? So which means the different properties or the exceptional characteristics of second period elements means. So first important thing is they are having the smaller size, larger charge, right? So the charge is large. Whenever the size is small, the charge will be large, right? So size means it is nothing but we are talking about the atomic radii. Atomic radii of this element is having the very small size, right? So whenever there is a small size, there will be a large charge, that is the radius ratio will be large, right? And high electronegative, these are high electronegative, which means it has capacity or it has power to extract the electron or the shared pair of electron. That electronegativity definitions also we have seen. And there is non-availability of d orbitals in the valence shell, means in the last orbit. Valence shell means in the last orbit there is no chance of availability of d orbitals electrons, right? So there is no chance of availability of d orbitals in valence shell. In the last orbit, we cannot observe any kind of d orbitals. And the first member of each group in p block element shows the greater ability to form the p pi multiple bonds. Further, we'll see what is p pi multiple, right? So multiple bond means more than one bond. It has capacity to form the more than, for example, carbon has a capacity to form double bond with itself. Carbon has capacity to form a triple bond with itself. Similarly, oxygen also has capacity to bond a double bond with itself. Nitrogen has the capability to form the triple bond with itself, right? So that is nothing but we'll call it as a multiple bond. The ability or the power of formation of this double bond or triple bond character can be seen as an anomalous property, that is different property, or that is a special property in case of second period elements, right? So this can be asked for 2 marks. So write the anomalous properties of second period elements, they may ask, right? And the last important definition in case of this chapter is a diagonal relationship, right? So this is also most of the time it is repeated for 2 marks. Be careful with this question. Define diagonal relationship. Diagonal relationship between the certain pair of diagonally adjacent elements. Observe here, diagonally adjacent elements in this second and third period. Whenever you observe the periodic table, you will look after the second period and the third period. In terms of second period and the third period, so the relationship is like that. So the diagonally adjacent elements, which are adjacent exhibit a similar properties, right? So here if I show the representation, what is diagonal relationship means. So I have drawn the second period elements, I have drawn the third period elements. For example, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen. And the period 3 elements are sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon and phosphorus. Here if I observe, lithium has the same characteristics which is referred with the magnesium. Whenever you compare and lithium and magnesium, they are having the similar characteristics. And whenever you compare beryllium as well as aluminium, so both are having the same or similar characteristics. Whenever you compare boron and silicon, both are having the similar characteristics, and carbon and phosphorus are having the same characteristics, but the arrangement of elements are in diagonal position. The arrangement of electrons are in the diagonal position. Therefore, diagonal relationship is defined as the relationship between the certain pair, which means if you consider two elements, those must have the similar properties, and those must be present in second as well as third period in the periodic table, and those must be diagonally adjacent to each other. Those must be, here you can observe the arrow mark. These two, lithium and magnesium, are in the diagonal position. In the diagonal position. Therefore, this property or this relationship is called as diagonal relationship. Okay, that completes your third chapter, and we'll see what we have learned in today's classes. One is electronegativity. Second one is valence electrons, and what is valency, and electronegative nature or non-metallic. Along with that, we have seen the electropositive character, or it is also called as metallic character, and reactivity of metals and reactivity of non-metals, and how the trend of the reactivity of metals and non-metals can take place in case of periodic table. Along with that, we have also seen the solubility of alkali metals and carbonates as well as bicarbonates in terms of periodic table, and the solubility of alkaline earth metals and hydroxide and sulfates in the periodic table, and basic strength, it goes on increases from beryllium to barium, that also we have seen. And the most important part and the last part in that chapter is anomalous properties. Anomalous properties are nothing but the properties which are different when you compare with the other elements in the periodic table, or you can call it as a special properties of second period elements also. One is smaller size, larger charge or radius ratio, high electronegativity, non-availability of d orbitals in the valence shell, and the first member of each element, each group that is of p block, has capacity to form a multiple bonds, which means it can form more than one bond with itself, that is double bond or triple bond. That is considered as the anomalous property. And the last important definition for your syllabus is diagonal relationship. It is nothing but the relationship between the certain pair of diagonally adjacent elements, that is when compared to the second period as well as third period. Here you can observe lithium and magnesium are diagonal, and boron and silicon are diagonal, carbon and phosphorus are diagonal. These diagonal elements have capacity to show the similar properties or similar characteristics. Therefore, these are termed as diagonal relationship, right? So if they ask for 2 marks, write the definition and write any 2 example. Lithium and magnesium are diagonal in relationship, beryllium and aluminum are diagonal in relationship, right? So that's all from this chapter. So in the next class, we'll go with a new chapter, because this completes all this information regarding to the third chapter, and we'll continue in the next class, and even I will give these notes in your WhatsApp also. Thanks for joining. Continue in the next class.